People from all parts of the world claim that they can somehow tell the future and can predict certain events before they even happen. Most are written off as either hoaxes or just your average nutcase. But on the odd occasion, someone might get a prediction correct, and then their word is taken as gospel. For example, Baba Vanga was able to correctly predict the dissolution of the Soviet Union and 9/11, leading to many believing she had supernatural abilities. And that same superstition now surrounds the Washington Redskins, the NFL team based in the capital of the USA. You see, for the last 80 years, people have been able to correctly predict who will win that year's presidential election based on whether or not the Washington Redskins won their game that just preceded the election. It sounds like merely a coincidence. And if that were true, then it's one hell of a coincidence, seeing that the Redskins rule, as it's called, has only been wrong 4 times out of 22 elections. The exact presidential election of which the rule is first applicable to is up for debate. Most agree that the rule doesn't count the team's time playing in Boston, 1932 through 36. The team competed as the Boston Braves in 1932, when they won 19-6 over the Staten Island Stapletons. This game does not conform to the rule, as Franklin D. Roosevelt defeated incumbent Herbert Hoover in that election. However, in 1936, the first election year the team competed under the name of the Washington Redskins, they defeated the Chicago Cardinals, and the incumbent Democratic president, Roosevelt, went on to win re-election. For the sake of this video, we're going to say that the rule is first applicable to the 1936 election, and this is when the trend first started, and when the team first became known as the Redskins. Although the rule applies from the 1932 presidential election onwards, the correlation between the results of the election and Redskin results was only noticed in 2000. Steve Hurt, executive vice president of the Elias Sports Bureau, recognized the trend and came up with the original Redskins rule, which stated, if the Redskins win their last home game before the election, the party that won the previous election wins the next election, and that if the Redskins lose, the challenging party's candidate wins. So for example, if the Republican Party was currently in power and the Redskins won their home game, then the Republicans would win the next election too. But if the Redskins lost, then the Democrats would win the next election. However, only 4 years later, the rule was modified slightly. In the 2004 election, the Redskins lost their last home game before the presidential election, indicating that the incumbent should have lost. However, President George W. Bush, the incumbent, went on to defeat John Kerry. Steve Hurt modified the rule, establishing Redskins Rule 2.0. When the popular vote does not win the election, the impact of the Redskins game on the subsequent presidential election gets flipped. In the election of 2000, Al Gore won the popular vote while Bush won the electoral vote, and thereby the revised Redskin rule was upheld for the 2004 election. For the last 2 presidential elections, 2012 and 2016, the rule has not been upheld. The Redskins rule predicted an outright loss for Barack Obama against challenger Mitt Romney, or that Obama would lose the popular vote and still win the Electoral College. However, incumbent Barack Obama won the election with 332 electoral votes to Romney's 206, and held the advantage in the popular vote by more than 4.7 million votes. In 2016, the Redskins played their last designated home game prior to the election on October 16th, defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 27-20. This outcome predicted a victory for Hillary Clinton of the Democratic Party, which was in power. Clinton's loss to Republican challenger Donald Trump in the election meant that the Redskins rule did not hold in 2016, despite winning the popular vote. As of this video's publication, it's August 2020, and the next US presidential election is less than 3 months away. It will be interesting to see whether the rule will hold up. If the Redskins are to win their home game, then Donald Trump will be re-elected as president of the US, and if the Redskins lose, then Joe Biden will be elected instead. One thing that could end the Redskins' streak of correctly predicting the election results is the rebranding of the Redskins team. If you've been following the news in the past few months, you'll know that the NFL, and more specifically the Washington Redskins, have been receiving a lot of backlash from the public regarding their team name, and how it's not very politically correct by today's standards. The Redskins have responded by officially changing their team name, but their new name has yet to be revealed as of writing this script. But whatever the new team name is, the Redskins rule is likely to continue for years to come.